That's a lot to kind of consume here. I'm going to shoot it out to First Amender. You got the first opener here because I'm pretty sure you have some stuff to say there. So your 5 minutes will start once you...
Starters, I had an entire intro written on how tanning beds are not, in fact, homophobic, but that tanning beds are perfectly okay. And in fact, plenty of homosexuals use tanning beds outside of the joke. Maybe where it says, is trans ideology homophobic? I'm assuming what you meant is trans ideology homophobic. So the question in and of itself is actually, it doesn't even make any sense. It's a it's a complete nonsense question. The term trans ideology isn't a real thing. It's a rhetorical invention that is used by people who want to attack trans rights without saying that they're against trans people outright. There isn't some unified doctrine or dogma that trans people are quote unquote pushing. It's just real human beings asking to exist with dignity, and there are political movements supporting or opposing that. Calling it homophobic, that makes even less sense. None of you, neither Tariaq or Damon, even addressed whether or not trans ideology is homophobic, but just going against trans existence in general, not necessarily even referring to whether or not it being homophobic. So I literally got zero argument from Damon and Tariaq regarding the question. But trans existence doesn't actually erase gay people. In fact, the fight for LGBTQ rights has historically been intertwined. Plenty of trans people are gay or lesbian, and if anything, transphobia and homophobia are closely related forms of bigotry, usually coming from those same groups. So when somebody is asking, is trans ideology homophobic, what you're really doing is actually just setting up a bad faith question, trying to pit gay and trans people against each other. It's the same tactic when anti-LGBT activists used to pit lesbians against gay men, or trying to fracture solidarity by framing rights in a zero-sum game. To address some of the things that... to argue, Tariaq was arguing the 80% desistance rate regarding psychological positions. That's true. That's completely true. But actually, what is in fact the case is that's actually gender affirming care. I argue by the basic WPATH standards, which is to say that you ought to go for a psychological evaluation. And typically when you have children that are going through that, it's very simple. A social transition is enough. There's no need to apply hormone blockers. They don't have gender dysphoria, and there's no need to have any gender affirming care outside of a social transition and psychological assistance. That's basically it. And guess what? And you're right. Roughly about 80 to 90% of children do desist. However, for the final 10%, they do have legitimate gender dysphoria, and it does not go away even past puberty. So if somebody is going through a pubertal stage, it's incredibly cruel to assume that 80% desistance is an error. It's rather just more gender affirming care. Regarding the mutilating genitals at the cost of thousands of dollars, or mutilating the body, such as facial reconstruction or mastectomies, well, you can actually rest your laurels quite comfortably, knowing that actually treating with gender affirming care, such as hormone blockers and then HRT, when they are an adult to be able to decide for themselves, actually results in less surgeries and less invasive practices, not more. And just so you're aware, in terms of the pharmaceutical industry, that's a literal non-existent blip on the pharmaceutical industry and how much money that they actually make on those drugs. It's literally a nothing burger. If you want to talk about things where they actually make money on, I mean, we could go over their balance sheets. It's the gender affirming care stuff is literally non-existent to pharmaceutical companies and how much money that they actually make. Saying that gender and sex is one and the same, nobody argues this. Transgender literally just means gender doesn't match their sex. Bullying and weaponizing the law, that's actually the other way around. That's projection. Anti-transpositions literally have hundreds of laws passed and hundreds more coming, and I can provide you the anti-trans legislation that has been passed throughout the United States that subjugate trans people. There's also the idea that the belief of a man can become a woman and a woman can become I'm a man. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do you mean by sex or by gender? Because the sex doesn't ever change. Thank you.
Thank you for that that opening statement, First Amender. I really appreciate that. Alex Kirsch, the savior of today. You got the clock, my friend.
Before you start the clock, I just want to make sure the prompt is correct. That it's that trans ideology is homophobic. I just want to make sure that's the correct prompt, right?
Yeah, Jake
Correct.
is dyslexic. He can't spell or read too good, okay?